EB, did the Commanders make the list or no? What is your guess?
I haven't looked.
They ranked the top 10, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Top 10 off seasons.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes based on the ownership. Well, I got ownership change a year ago.
Coaching
change. Peters
and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
All right, I'll give you the list starting at number 10.
So
number 10.
They didn't make it.
Yeah, you don't know. I'm just trying to put it out there.
I think if it's on the outline, they made it.
At number 10, the Detroit Lions.
What
Make
did they
the
do
list.
that was so great?
Well, they extended Jared Goff. They also extended Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, they're paying some guys.
And Penei Sewell.
All right, but they didn't add anybody. They just extended guys they already had.
I mean, they added.
All right, so I'm going to argue that how does that get them? I mean, maybe it keeps them competitive, but it didn't make them better.
They added to their secondary.
They added guys.
They drafted Terrion Arnold out of, I believe, Alabama, and Ennis Rakestraw Jr.
All
to help shore up the secondary.
They added Marcus Davenport, who's an edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
They added a defensive tackle, DJ Reader.
So the Lions come in at number 10. At number 9, your Tennessee Titans. Coming in at number 9. Well, they added Calvin Ridley to help Will Levis in year 2. They drafted J.C. Latham, also out of Alabama. They bring in Tony Pollard from the Dallas Cowboys to help make up for the loss of Derrick Henry, who's now in Baltimore. So the Titans come in at number 9. At number 8, your Washington Commanders make the list, EB.
All right.
Here's what it says. A lot rests on the shoulders of new OC Cliff Kingsbury.
Right.
If he can put Daniels in a position to succeed, then Washington may be starting down a quick turnaround. The hiring of head coach Dan Quinn was not splashy, but it should at least bring a clear vision and stability to the organization. Free agency was spent filling holes with experienced, relatively inexpensive players familiar with Quinn's coaching style. By building out that depth, they allowed themselves to be more flexible in the draft. Jaden Daniels was the crown jewel, but they made quality additions on the defensive side of the ball with tackle Johnny Newton, cornerback Mike Sanderstill, and others. So, congrats, EB. Top 10 offseason for your Commanders.
I mean, you like the offseason.
Yeah.
But like you said, it started with the coaching staff. You had to clear out that coaching staff.
Peters, the guys he brought in.
I mean, you're starting over. And you're starting over with a quarterback that you hope is a big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we got the second pick in the draft.
Yeah.
We got, I think, the most dynamic player in the draft. I mean, maybe Caleb Williams ends up being a better quarterback, but I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do they have the Bears in the top 10?
Here's the rest of your 7 through 1. At 7, they have the Patriots. At number 6, they have the L.A. Rams. At number 5, they have the Philadelphia Eagles. They bring in Saquon Barkley from division rival New York.
Mm-hmm.
The Houston Texans come in at number 4. They had some big offensive pieces in Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs. Daniil Hunter comes in on defense. That's a guy that can give you a dozen or more sacks if he's healthy. Your top 3, the Steelers come in at number 3.
Steelers.
They signed Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They traded for Justin Fields.
Got a new offensive coordinator, too.
Arthur Smith comes up from Atlanta.
I don't know if that's a plus, but
well, it's a plus for the running game.
That's true.
The Arizona Cardinals come in at number 2 as they add Marvin Harrison Jr., a huge piece to the offense for Kyler Murray. And at number 1, the Chicago Bears.
Wow.
With all of their additions. Caleb Williams drafted number 1 overall.
They did add a lot.
Keenan Allen gets traded for from the Chargers. They draft Rome Odunze, top 10.
He's got weapons
offense too.
It's up to Caleb.
Ton of weapons. DeAndre Swift comes in to help shore up the backfield.
You know, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but are the reports coming in on Caleb still positive? Even though he had that stretch there where he struggled, but overall, are they still positive?
I haven't heard anything negative after the mini camp.
He might have had like 1 or 2 rough days, but it sounds like he was fine after that.
If that's true, that's normal.
Rookie. Yeah. Rookie just finding his way in the NFL.
I mean, hell, even veterans have. Hell, when Fitzpatrick came here, we had heard he was struggling. Right?
I had such high hopes, high artificial hopes for Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I know.
Me and Valdez both.
Right.
We were simpatico.
What do you think of all the offseason, besides Jaden Daniels, what offseason addition do you think is going to have the biggest impact?
I think hopefully it's Frankie Louvu shoring up the linebacker spot. Louvu and Bobby Wagner.
What about Eckler?
I think Eckler's going to have a good year.
If Eckler can get back to form and he's
I think
fully
he's going to have a
healthy,
good year.
he should have a bounce back year.
I mean, it kind of depends on how they use him, but they brought him here for a reason.
Well, wasn't he just on a pod recently? I think within the last week, where he said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said the Chargers approach, or maybe the new incoming approach, is to give a guy 30 carries. You know, one guy 30 carries. Like he's like, that's not what I'm built for.
Right.
And he's not. Like he's a change of pace, great pass catching back, and you sprinkle in some rushes for him. You don't. He's not a workhorse back.
Right. You don't give the ball to him 25 times.
Not at this point in his career. After the injuries he's gone through, like I think Brian Robinson,
especially
clearly,
when you have Brian Robinson,
he's the workhorse.
Who can do that.
He's the guy that's going to get, I think, 18 to 20 carries.
Right.
Give Eckler 7 to 9 carries, 4 to 5 targets per game. Keep him fresh, especially coming off that high ankle sprain that dogged him last season. I think that is your ideal scenario for Austin Eckler.
Do you feel okay with the offensive line? We don't really know much about these guys.
Don't know.
That they brought in, but they clearly addressed it, right? And they went out and added 2 pieces, and they drafted the kid.
I thought they addressed it last year.
Right. So
I think the biggest question mark is
do you trust that the guys that Peters brought in are going to be better than the guys that Ron brought in? I say yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
How about I trust any guy that Adam Peters brings in over any of the guys that Ron brought in?
Right.
I just don't think Ron was very steeped in personnel.
He wasn't.
I don't know if a guy could have ruined his reputation more than Ron did coming here.
He didn't do it any favors. I know that.
I mean, he there was some sympathy for him for all that he went through.
Understood, but his job prospects, coaching-wise, I haven't heard Pete.
No.
You heard anything?
No.
Have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything.
He interviewed for what, like a linebacker job or something? And
I think he was
didn't
given
even get that.
I think he was given like cursory interviews in Dallas, and maybe did he interview in Philly?
For some reason, I feel like he did interview.
I think he interviewed in both of those places, or at least one of them.
TV interviews that didn't really pan out, right? Doesn't look like ESPN signing him.
I don't think they're in a rush to sign him.
He'll be fine. He made plenty of money and go out and play Pebble every day.
He's fine. I'm not worried about his portfolio. His portfolio is good.
But this all comes down to what kind of chemistry does Kingsbury have with Daniels? How do they use him? How much better does he get throughout the year, if he gets better at all? And then, obviously, keeping him upright. Offensive line's got to be better. I think they will. And the defense will be better. There has to be, because they were horrible last year.
No way they're worse.
How many spots are they better? I don't know.
Yeah.
Could they be a top 17, top 15 type of defense?
Let's hope.
That's a big jump.
That's a big improvement. But
if you look at the yards per game difference on what like the 30th defense gives up compared to the 15th, I mean, it's not that big of a difference. So they could be. We don't know.
I was just stunned that earlier in the show when we were looking at Trent Dilfer's numbers, that he had 4 touchdowns and like 19 interceptions his rookie year. That's like stunning to me. He started all 16 games.
How did they win 7? How do you win 7 games with those sorts of numbers?
I mean, it's unbelievable when you look back on it.
Did they have like a crazy rushing attack that I'm just spacing on? I can't remember.
I mean, it's just those are the worst numbers I've ever seen.
Dreadful.
Was Trent a first-round pick out of Fresno State or whatever?
He was a first-rounder. He was a pretty high first-rounder,
Was he like a 5th pick or something?
I'll have to look it up. But he was high.
I feel like he was pretty high.
I think he was a relatively high pick. Hold on.
And
he was the – let's see.
I mean, freaking Taylor Heineke looks like a Hall of Famer compared to those early year numbers from Dilfer.
6th overall.
6th overall pick. And he threw
second
4
quarterback
touchdowns in 16 games he started. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Man, that is a brutal 1-2 at quarterback.
That's got to be the worst year for a guy that played 16 games.
The top 2
maybe
quarterbacks
in history.
The top 2 quarterbacks that year in the draft, Heath Schuler and Trent Dilfer. That is rough. And I know Trent Dilfer went on to win the Super Bowl. I understand. But you're picking that high. That sets you back a decade or more.
I had no idea that a guy could play 16 games and only have 4 touchdowns.
And this helped.
I'm not surprised by the 19 interceptions.
And this helped since they had Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott.
Okay, that
was
softens
their-
the blow.
Yeah, it helped a little bit.
Yeah.
They were just pounding the ball.
I'm not sure what their record was.
No, they won
for-
7 games.
Oh, they won 7.
They went 7-9. He threw 4
What
touchdowns.
about the second year when he threw more touchdowns, but also threw a billion picks?
I don't know. What do you have? 24 interceptions or something? You said
Actually, they went 10-6 that next year.
just riding.
They
Dunn
must
and
have
Allstott.
in the defense.
Yeah, they had Sapp. Was Sapp
Yep.
there?
Yeah, so they went 7-9 and 10-6 in those 2 years where he threw 37 picks.
You want to talk about a game manager?
Barely managing.
Hopefully, Jaden Daniels is.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Complete. Jaden Daniels will have 4 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, running and throwing.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
I was going to say.
No, I
You wanna take the bet?
I'm not betting against my guy.
He'll have 4 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks.
I'm not betting against him.
Minimum.
You're not going to get me in a position where I'm betting against my
Minimum.
guy.
He's going to have
Minimum.
4 total touchdowns in the first 2 weeks.
Yes. You want to take that bet?
I just have to bet against cakes. I'll bet against that.
Understood. Let's $2.
All right.
$2
So he's
minimum
got to
bet.
have 2
Put it
and
in the
2.
bet book.
Yeah,
He's
it's
got
in
to
the
have
bet-
1
it's in
and
the bet
1.
book
You think
right
he's going to
here.
have 1 and 1 each game? You think he's having a rushing touchdown each game? And
I mean, he could have.
Well, he doesn't know.
He could have 2
just said-
passing touchdowns in the first game and a rushing and a passing touchdown in game 2, and I win.
all right,
That's true.
all right.
Or
Or they could just hand it off to Austin Eckler at the goal line 3 times.
That could happen too, and I
Yeah.
lose the bet.
or Robinson.
Or he has an RG3 like debut and has 4 touchdowns in the
Right.
opener.
Well, then I hand you
against,
over $2.
against Tampa Bay.
Right.
And then the whole town.
I got a bunch of $2 bills right here in this
electric and on
bag.
fire. Hopefully that's the case.
Well, I'm bullish.
Hopefully he's throwing one to Brandon Ayuk.
From coming off such a
Yes.
disastrous year to where we are right now, I'm bullish.
Good.
I like everything but the O line. Got questions about Forbes. I want to
Forbes
see
is-
what they do with Jamin.
Forbes' stick figure legs do throw me.
I need Dotson to come up bigger. I mean, there's definitely questions.
Sure.
but
there's
I like
there's
the trend.
optimism and hope,
I like the trend.
which is always a good